defending.
I think it's like
Are we live? People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well and safe. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and of course, good night, depending on wherever else you guys are. Mo, what are you saying, man? As usual, thank you for coming on my channel. Appreciate that each and every time. I'm sure we're going to have a very thoughtful and thought-provoking discussion. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I've just come back from holiday, spent a few days in America, a few days in the Caribbean, and whilst I was on holiday, one win, one defeat, left a sour taste in my mouth, ruined the holiday a little bit. But, other than that, all good.
Must be even more difficult when you're behind or in front of the time zones and obviously what it takes out of you physically and whatnot then, man.
Yeah, man. And that's why, do you know what? I always respect international fans. A lot of domestic fans have got this habit of kind of acting like, oh, international fans aren't as passionate as us, talk about them not going to games. We're just fortunate that we were born in the same country that the team that we love plays. But I've seen, as I've traveled, I've seen what lengths people go to watch Arsenal. And, there are people doing long journeys to go and watch it with other Arsenal fans, have that sense of community and atmosphere. Silly times in the morning. The 12:30 kickoffs for us, that would be like a 7 a.m. It's crazy what people do out there. So I respect it a lot.
You're right on that, and they would still have to go to work, man. I think that's what, shout out to all the international fans. And I mean, whether you're international, whether you're season ticket holder, whether you're not either of the two, as long as you're just supporting the club and doing what you can, man. Obviously, that being said, unfortunately, we did lose, as you mentioned it there. Talk to me about Manchester United, man. I mean, what's all your thoughts regarding that? I'm going to ask you about ODEGAARD and Aubameyang and PARTEY and these experienced players, but where was you at going into the game, during it, and, now after it?
Going into the game, I was thinking, look, definite opportunity to go there and kind of a bit of a statement victory. We always seem to go to Old Trafford and we lose our cool. We bottle it. We don't take the opportunities. It's really frustrating. And I was wondering, whether we're going to go there and show that actually the 10-game unbeaten run that we had was... I wanted a performance that reflective of that and not our usual fragility at Old Trafford. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. We got our usual fragility. We had our stupid moments encapsulated by ODEGAARD and his tackle. I was really, really disappointed, to be honest with you. And also that's also after taking the lead. And I feel as though, the 10-game unbeaten run, I've been saying the whole time, it's only fair that we give Mikel Arteta credit, because he went on a 3-game losing streak and got untold amounts of stick, rightly so.
Yeah.
So I feel like then when he does go in, rectifies that and goes 10 games unbeaten, we should be giving him credit. But I always said that there's 6 games, when I looked at the calendar, starting from Leicester away, going to Everton away tomorrow, where that will really tell us everything we need to know. And this game was a big test, and we failed it. We completely failed it. Mikel Arteta completely failed it. Some of our senior pros completely failed it. It was so clear to me, DG, that when we went 1-0 up, we stopped playing. And when you see stream after stream of attack and pressure, constant pressure, you see Harry Maguire taking a shot from 25 yards out, and that surely needs to set alarm bells going off in the brain that why is their centre-back that advanced, and why is he willing to be taking shots from 25 yards out?
It's happening as well, facts.
Yeah, that's got to tell you we're too deep. We need to fix it. I didn't see anything from Mikel Arteta to tweak anything or to fix that or to push the team out and stem that pressure. And that pressure told, and obviously they went and scored the goal just before half time. So I was disappointed with him. I don't know whether you think I'm being harsh on him or
no. I think you're being right. I do think one thing, and I was like you. I remember seeing it after the game. He said he's actually telling, and you can see during the game, allegedly he was telling the players to get higher. So for me, I don't know if it's a tactical thing with Arteta. I think a team's a reflection of the manager. So I'm with you, but I also think it's a psychological handbrake that these players have. I think whether you're a boxing coach or a tennis coach, coach. You can only take an individual so far. Once they go into the competition, they need to arrest themselves. I personally remember Aaron Ramsdale. I can't remember the game, bro, but I think it was a few weeks ago. He kind of alluded to, yeah, we're listening to the game plan and what Arteta says, but by the same token, we might be taking it a bit too literally. Like if he says, you know, long balls, we're just doing long balls. We're in the game, we might be able to switch it up. I do think there was that. I do think there was everything. I think the second half, I said it during my live stream, we're going to see a lot about Mikel Arteta, and I do think he needed to make changes quicker. I do think the players need to learn from their mistakes, because I think we quickly just go on this, oh, they're young and it's a free hit. And I agree with a lot of these things. They are young, but you're old enough to learn that you've been in these scenarios before. Fair enough, we didn't score against Liverpool, but we was quote unquote in it until the flurry of goals. They need to be able to react to that. What disappointed me was the moments that we've conceded these goals. You know, a minute, just like against Liverpool, a minute before halftime, tearing up the halftime team sheet, team talk. Obviously, 70 minutes after the game, you know, into the game, after somehow getting yourself back into the game, and then obviously the penalty. And I think 10 or so minutes into the second half, it's like, I need to know you can manage games. And I think I saw a lot of similarities to even games we've won, like against Newcastle, Watford, etc. It's just, as you know, when you've got Ronaldo and these sort of players and there's pressure under them, you're not going to get those fine margins that we got away with.
Yeah. And, you know, what I saw as well was two teams, in my opinion, I'm trying to take out the tribalism out of it, two teams that are probably at a very similar level right now, Arsenal, Man United. Right. And what differentiated us on the day was the fact that we had our brain freeze moment that we always seem to have when we go. Right. But what I found interesting is that as Arsenal fans, we look at our team and we talk about how the fact that we sat back too much after going 1-0 up. Actually, I think Man United did the same. The only difference is that
team's scared to lose, yeah.
Yeah, we were winning for more of the game than they were. So that means that we saw us sitting back more because we took that early lead. And then for like half an hour, it was them just peppering us. Now, as soon as Man United went 2-1 up, they sat back. And all of a sudden, we were attacking. And then at 2-2, it became more of an even game. So it seemed like two teams actually had no courage, no real bravery to really take the game to the other team. And it was a sad reflection of where both teams were. And, you know, even the two goals, the Fernandes goal and the ODEGAARD goal, they kind of mimicked each other, had similarities about those goals as well. So I saw a lot of similarities throughout the game. Unfortunately, another similarity was VAR given a penalty, and that's where the similarities stopped. That's where United get their that's where United get their United treatment, and so that was one difference in the game. And the other difference was that's where Arsenal, or not that's where, but the separate one was where Arsenal have their brain freeze moment. So those two things combined, Man United referees at home, Arsenal away at Old Trafford doing something stupid, that completely swung the game. On a different day, if we weren't as dumb, if VAR was a bit better, then we might have won the game. But before I say anything on it, I want your opinion on that Tomiyasu VAR incident. Not just kind of what every Arsenal fan's going to say, yeah, it was a penalty, but why do you think it wasn't given?
Why it wasn't, bro? Honestly, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure you've seen it as well. We see the exact same incident in other games, whether United or us are involved, and we're given a whole bag of garbage as to why that's given and why it's not. So I can't answer. I just think the refs freestyle it. I don't know, man. Did we appeal it enough? The angles that they use. I don't know why we've got it, because I've seen them given. I've seen worse given. I genuinely don't know. My biggest problem really is the lack of chances we create. And I wanted to also ask you, obviously, ODEGAARD, he made himself a hero and then a villain again with the mistake. Throughout the course of the season, Tavares has made a mistake. ODEGAARD's made a mistake. PARTEY and Lokonga. When we can talk about the individuals, but when it's happening to this scale and the individuals that are making it so frequently, and there's different ones, would you say, where are you at with that? Is that habits in the squad? Because I look at that, I look at the lack of goals ultimately and the chance creation, and we're still, I think I saw today Leno and Ramsdale, they faced around 50 odd shots together. That's the most in the league. Kind of trying to see where our team is at and where we're at and whatnot. Am I wrong to say we are a kind of mistake-ridden team at times?
I don't know. It's a tough one. We went 10 games unbeaten, and that's not the most magical run I've ever seen. Emery had a 20-odd game unbeaten run, But what I'm saying is that if you really are a mistake-ridden team, it's probably hard to put that 10-game run together. I think we are much better, but it's in the high-pressure games is where we make the mistakes. And it's easier to avoid making mistakes when you aren't being hammered with pressure, because the concentration levels are easier to maintain then. When it's mistake, when it's like wave after wave of attack, that's where you get caught out, and that's, I guess, where you make the mistakes. So I feel like we have improved, but there's a lot more to go to get to the level that we need to get to. So yeah, I guess, it just shows a little bit of immaturity in our team, and we're not quite there. The thing is, two things I wanted to mention. Firstly, kind of my theory on why the penalty wasn't given. And the second thing is about the fact that people always talk about that Arsenal are a young team, youngest team in the league and all that sort of stuff. Now, I'll talk about the age thing first, right? When people talk about Arsenal are the youngest team in the league, and people always say this with a real positive spin, and they present this fact as an excuse when things go wrong. And they say, we will get better because Arsenal are the youngest team in the league, and when we all mature and everything like that. The problem is with that theory, we've seen it many times before. The first one is we've seen it many times before. Players don't always stay loyal. So they're not all going to mature and develop all at the same rate, at the same age, and necessarily stay loyal. And the second thing is the fact that we've got the youngest team in the league, to me, shows that it's more of a problem than a good thing. Because if...
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why is there's an optimum thing for everything. Yeah, so when it's not as simple as saying, "Oh, I want my food ready, I'll stick it in the oven at the maximum heat." Yeah, that doesn't cook your food to the optimum level. Yeah. Also, you don't say, "No, I want it to be nice and slow cooked, so I'll stick it on at like 50 Celsius instead of 200, and then it takes you like 4 weeks to get your food cooked." There's an optimum level, and this is why I kind of feel like if Arsenal had hit the age range on the optimal level, all teams would be doing that. It would be known to be the optimal level. But when you look at the age profile of the best teams, it clearly shows to me that the optimal level is not, our age range. And that's why we are right at the top of that age table in terms of the youngest team in the league. That in itself is why I say it is a problem, because we haven't got the balance right. It's all good to say, it's lovely that we're giving youth a chance, and there will be mistakes made because they're youth players. That's because it's not the best balance. So I get a little bit frustrated hearing that. I do like giving youth a chance, but I feel like it's a little bit naive to kind of just do that and sort of take the freedoms that gives you. Like people using the terms free hits and all that. I would rather have an age range of a squad where we can say, actually, there's no reason why we can't go and achieve, rather than using that as an excuse in itself. Yeah, it's almost like, sort of like a protection from day one, which I don't really like. But then I look at it and I say, at Old Trafford, which players really didn't perform?
This is it.
Were they the young players, or were they actually
9 times out of 10? It's not them. It's the senior ones.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted, because I feel like we need more experience in our team. We shouldn't be the youngest team in the league if we really want to go and achieve something. But then on the other hand, when your senior pros are letting you down like that, then God, it spins that theory all out of sync anyway.
I mean, you said it there. I feel one thing that if we did have senior players, whether the ones we have step up or we bring in better ones, there'd be a healthier sort of area for our young players to make mistakes. Defenders losing the ball, people missing chances, and these sort of things. It's almost like the Smith Rowes and Sakas. They can't afford to make mistakes because they're highlighted, and they've got to the point where they're pillars of our team. Smith Rowe at times, there should be times we can pull him out, but if we really want results, we need to start him. You're completely right. Where do you stand on the experienced players? Because I'm a bit not scared, and I don't want to do the doom and gloom thing, but it's almost like these players, they're not old, they've got a number of years left, but it's almost like we're kind of messing around with them now. It's all fun and games kind of doing that with the younger ones. They've got time on their side. Partey is not going to be here forever. So how do you feel on that? Aubameyang, I don't know where we're at with that. Obviously Odegaard is young, but I'd describe him as an experienced player. Where are you at with our experienced players now, man? Because 9 times out of 10, it is them that are kind of, flattering to deceive.
Let's start with Aubameyang. Yeah. Do I want Aubameyang to start against Everton? No. That's the honest answer. I don't.
You're right.
I've stuck up for him a lot, and you would have heard me say it. Everyone would have heard me say it, because I bang on this drum a lot. Look at the best goal scorers of the last decade. Aubameyang is there. I have got no sort of bad feeling towards the guy. I love him and I rate him very, very highly. But right now he's in a really, really poor run of form. And I just think that not as a punishment, just for the benefit of the team and benefit of the player, he needs to be pulled out and someone else needs to come in. And also, we then need to use him as sort of like maybe an impact sub to get his confidence back up. Like
come off the bench and bag and he could start from there. Yeah, facts.
Yeah, like go in there to win us the game. So if we don't win the game, it's not on you. You were sent on there to sort of like try and change the flow of the game. It's easier as a sub at times. Right. So that's the first one. I'm very, very frustrated with the way he's playing and his form recently. And even for example, I know you might see this one differently. He liked Cristiano Ronaldo's tweet after the game that showed Ronaldo on his Instagram celebrating the winner against us in a game where Aubameyang not only played but had a stinker.
And was our captain. And is our captain.
I know that was unlikely to be Aubameyang himself, yeah, and it was probably like a social media agency post or something like that. But Aubameyang, more so than most professionals, is very active on his own Insta. We've seen him on Insta Live and that sort of stuff. So it's beyond doubt that we know at times he is logged into his own and doing stuff on his own. It's not like a really bland Instagram
generic football one. Yeah, it's very personalized and whatnot.
Exactly, yeah, where he appears on there and stuff. So I was really annoyed to see that. And if it was him, he's an idiot. If it wasn't him, have a word with the social media guys. So I'm a little bit balanced on that. I'll try and be anyway. But I just thought it left a really bad taste in the mouth, the fact that he played that badly and then did that, and then that happened. ODEGAARD, I view him as an experienced player as well. What he was thinking in that tackle really, really frustrated me. You're never, ever going to win the ball. And also, you got to look at the player as well. It's Fred. I know Fred got an assist. He even scored today against Palace, where United won 1-0.
For what it's worth, yeah.
But you don't have to go and put that challenge in against Fred. If he does something from there, it's sort of like unexpected. If that's Cristiano Ronaldo, Mason Greenwood, Rashford, fair enough. There might be a bit more desperation, but know your opponent as well. That really annoyed me. And I thought the tackle was awful. And then Thomas Partey. How's Thomas Partey had an easy ride from Arsenal fans?
To be honest, I do think he's borderline getting scapegoated now, but I do think he is getting scapegoated. Like, I don't think he was terrible against United, but what I will say is it's underwhelmingness. The honeymoon period's gone. We've given him the crutch, and he still has the crutch of, for me, you ain't got a certified midfield partner. That's kind of irrelevant because you haven't arrested your own bad form. He's obviously had the injuries, and at the start of the season, you saw it. He was looking good. He had the injury. He might be playing with something, but it is underwhelming. He's fitting in. You're not standing out, and you and Lokonga, there should be no contest. And what annoyed me at United, they clearly do mark him more than El Nene, but now El Nene's going into that game 59 minutes of Premier League football. Now, credit to El Nene, but it makes me look at Partey a bit more sideways. Why is he within El Nene's obvious capabilities and whatnot? I couldn't ask him to do anything more. Why is he like that? And again, this is where I think sometimes the club could come out, and they're never going to tell us everything, but maybe we could understand if we're out here and we're told why Partey isn't fully fit. And he clearly kind of rectifies this and knows this and attempted to say something about it. Because I don't know if did you see on Arsenal.com, he's saying, I know I need to get to my best. They demand a bit more of me. I'm a senior player. All right, cool. But this is the issue. And it goes back to what we kind of say every day, whether I'm on your channels or you're on mine, and that until the midfield is addressed and is addressed, I don't think Arsenal can do anything serious, because you look at our midfield, who's the number one partnership? It's probably XHAKA and Partey. That's hit and miss. We ain't got a single one we could say if everybody's fit, considering we've got no Europe. That's what we'd like to see for 38 games. Now, we know football is different, but it's almost like seasons. Like some guys are good when the sun's shining, others look good in winter, but nobody has that consistent run of form. And yeah, I do think Partey's underwhelmed. He hasn't, on occasion he's really turned it on, but we haven't seen that consistent higher level. Like, we don't see how we've seen it typically in Aubameyang. Like, you see a high level performing player, maybe worst comes to worst, in an average team. If I didn't know anything about football, you don't know that Partey was at Atletico and all of these things. And what scares me, you've played football, at times you drop down to the level that you're with. And I don't know if Partey's done that, if Aubameyang's done that, Tini, if he's done that. That's what starts to scare me. And then obviously you start to stagnate. That's the one for the younger players, personally.
Yeah, it's a brilliant point you've made there, because that's what worries me as well. Either you change the culture or the culture changes you. One of those two things happen. And Aubameyang, he exceeded the level of performance. He exceeded the culture for a long, long time at Arsenal, and that's why I think he'll always have my respect. He did very, very well for a long, long time. Maybe now the culture's got to him. Maybe it's age. Maybe at best it's just a bad run of form.
That's what I meant to ask you. Sorry to cut you. Carry on after. Do you think it's an age thing? Because you got, I know it's not the same, but you got Vardy, it's not Aubameyang. You got Vardy, Benzema, and a couple of other 30-year-olds. So is it an age thing for you? But I cut you off.
Well, for some people, the age does catch up with them. For others, it doesn't. You've got Ibrahimovic. I think, what is he, 40? Still doing the business. Ronaldo, 36, doing the business. Messi in his 30s, still brilliant. Lewandowski, Suarez, Benzema. Vardy, as you said. So I don't know. It's very hard. I'm still, honestly, still banking on the fact that it's just form. I really am still banking on the fact that it's just form. I think, you know, like I always say this, yeah. People speak very confidently when we're doing something like this. But you imagine Aubameyang joined us. Would we have the bottle to look Aubameyang in the eye and say, yeah, you're done?
I love him too much to do that. No, I wouldn't be able to tell him that. I still like you. I think we all have this. We recognize where we're at. We recognize we can't give him any luxuries, but it's like we hope that our hero, when we turn on that Batman sign, that Aubameyang is back. But it's a problem where I just don't know where we go. Because for me, bro, it's like it's got to a new low now. Like it's got, how can the expectations, the last season on the floor, it's got worse. And I just feel when I look at Watford, when I look at Newcastle, it's starting to scare me. Like I want him to get back, but it's scaring me because now you're starting to harm the team.
But this is why I'm trying to give you this hypothetical that if he was here right now with us, would we dare say that to him? Because the way I see it is that if my conviction is 100% strong about something, I will say it no matter what to that person. Obviously, say it respectfully. I wouldn't say you're finished, but I'll say, look, looks like you've peaked, or I might say it more respectfully.
He's gone, yeah.
I don't have that level of conviction that Aubameyang is done, that he's peaked, that he's finished. I still think he might go on a brilliant goal-scoring run over the next 5 games. I still think he's got that in him, so I'm hopeful. But I think we need to do more in the man management to get that out of him. On Aubameyang, just on Partey, I am overall disappointed with his level since he came to the club.
That's
overall, I have
to
admit that he needs to do more for me. Now, on the Aubameyang thing, when he got subbed against United, talk to me about why it was Eddie Nketiah who, in the same week as that game, has apparently, and I don't know how strong these rumours are, rejected a new contract offer. You have Lacazette on the bench, you have Nicolas Pepe on the bench.
Desperation.
And Eddie's come on. Explain that to me.
For me, that's just desperation. That's just, okay, maybe it's an element of, you know, maybe I might be being naive, but putting him in the shop window, if he scores, that puts his price up. For me, it's desperation. It's either desperation that, okay, cool, I don't really bet on you as much as I say I like you and stuff. You might give me something a bit random. You might be a fox in the box. I don't want to be devil's advocate, but I think it really tells me, I don't want to say don't rate Laka, because Laka could start tomorrow. I would start him tomorrow, but it probably tells you where Lacazette and Aubameyang are really and truly. I mean, Lacazette and Pepe, it probably tells you where Pepe is. You know, Martinelli can't buy minutes. He's got to start. As you said, Eddie Nketiah is, you know, a part-time footballer at Arsenal, sadly. Some minutes he's involved, sometimes he's not. I think that tells you where they are. Or maybe just the manager had different plans. I mean, if Eddie scores, he looks like a hero. But for me, I'd just say it's desperation. And as you know, desperation only comes from literally when you're desperate, when you haven't prepared, when everything you've planned for potentially has gone out the window. You're just literally desperate. So I wish I had an answer, broski. I wish, you know, again, I don't know if Balogun, you know, it makes you wonder where is Balogun, because I think we've all evidently seen Balogun is behind Eddie Nketiah in the pecking order, but what he played the day before against the 23s. So it makes you wonder what's happening here. And then you just look at our whole strikers, what's going on with all of them, really? It's like there's a lot of elephants in the room that, as an ignorant fan, not being in the board, don't look addressed. Don't look like they're being addressed. What do you make of this as well? Before I kind of cut you off, Dave said, do you guys think Arsenal should replace Aubameyang with a new signing or with someone at the club? Me personally, 20 league goals minimum. Respectfully to Balogun and things, it's unhealthy pressure. If you can, sign a striker.
Yeah, I personally think there's not a player at the club that is ready to be that guy for Arsenal like that, and we need him. So it has to come externally. Now, you know, I mentioned the penalty. One theory I've heard, DG, on why that penalty wasn't given is that Maguire and Tomiyasu weren't anywhere near the ball when he was dragged. So what I find laughable about that, how many? I mean, like, it's not, when you look at some set piece routines, a near post flick on, you know, you might aim for that. Players in the middle will obviously be the ones to benefit from that flick on. You might aim to the back post, have it headed back across goal. The players in the middle again will be the ones that will do that. So to say just because he wasn't near the ball doesn't mean that you lose a significant advantage. You know, if you're aiming for one of those two very common free kick setups in football.
I believe that.
And it also says that what Arsenal should do now against Everton is that look at the trajectory of the ball, look at the flight of the ball. If your man that you're marking is not going to receive that, drag him to the floor.
Literally.
Because it can't be a foul, you might as well take him out of the game.
Literally.
Yeah, that's what football would be if that rule, if that's why that wasn't given as a penalty, if that made sense. Do you know what I mean? You know, imagine I'm marking you at the near post, I see the ball going to the back post, and I think, all right, tell you what, drag you to the floor.
Yeah, that's a stonewall penalty. It doesn't make sense. We've seen them given. That's why that theory for me doesn't make sense. Because how many times have you seen VAR act this season because someone that wasn't necessarily involved in play pulled someone back? And, you know, that would almost make encroachment irrelevant as well. It's a bit different with penalties. But, you know, a penalty could get retaken because you might miss the penalty, but I'm on the opposite team. I've encroached, so it takes it again. So it's like, again, it's more grey areas. And that doesn't make sense for me, really and truly. You know, I personally think they like controversy, though.
It's absolute nonsense. But I wanted to mention that because, you know, a lot of people offer that as the reason. And you know, for me, that just tells you that if that was a valid reason according to the rule book, it would change the entire defensive setup on set pieces. There would be 2 players or maybe like 4 players challenging for the ball, and then the remaining like 10 fouling.
This is it.
So it's a nonsense, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to mention that. But I think you were going to pull up a comment. I
think we dealt with it. I've got 2 questions of my own as well on the topic of Aubameyang and Martinelli. 2 questions I actually would have brought with a reason for me asking you. Do you think it's a lack of creativity that is a major reason for Aubameyang scoring? Because certain people say we don't create, which I think they're right. Certain people say it's irrelevant. Now, I feel Aubameyang barely gets any service, but the 1-2 mils in scraps he's thrown, so far, he hasn't taken them. And do you think fans are harsh on Odegaard? Because I think he's got a long way to go before he can ever be compared to Ozil. I do think he needs to do a lot more. As you said, the decision-making behind the penalty, I don't know. But even prior to the penalty or him scoring, it did feel like he was getting a bit of flack for how he was playing. I don't know how you see it. I do, like with Partey, I want to see you a bit more. If I look at you and Smith Rowe, I don't know which one was at Real Madrid. I do think he shoved off the ball a bit too easily. But I do think there's elements in his game that aren't necessarily given credit or picked up on or appreciated when you watch the game first time round. And I just feel he's almost set up to fail because he's not like thunder and guts sort of player. He's another elegant player. And unless they're scoring every week like a Bernardo Silva, fans ain't got time for it. It's definitely our fans.
Yeah, man. You know, the thing is with Ozil, when we go back to him, he wasn't good enough off the ball. He was better than what people made out, but he wasn't good enough off the ball. But he was a magician on the ball. Now, with Martin Odegaard, he leads our press, in my opinion. His energy levels are really, really good. He's not blood and guts in the sense that flying into tackles, but he covers a lot of ground and he presses really well. It's on the ball that I have the issue with him. Like, do you really have that subtlety, that guile, that disguise that can really unlock defenses, like in the way that Mesut Ozil did? No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he does. So I do feel like there is a creativity issue. And when we signed Odegaard, I thought to myself, well, is he really the guy to solve that? Now, maybe Aubameyang is suffering because of the fact that there's that lack of creativity, but as you said, when he's had clear-cut chances, you look at, was it Watford, just in front of the post, didn't put it away against United. Yeah, when he was, I don't know whether it would be an offside or not, but fluffed his lines again. So
Newcastle as well.
It's a tricky situation for him because he's not getting an abundance of chances, and the ones that he are getting, he's not putting away. It's problematic, man. But I think it's a bit of both.
So, again, kind of on that, where does it make you look at Arteta then? Because I look at our attacking options and I just feel, with the exception of Smith Rowe, if a single attacking player isn't, like, nobody's really excelling, or no one, if there was team of the year, we ain't really got an attacking player that could be there, or with or take with Smith Rowe. is that on the gaffer then? Because it's a bit like last season. As much as I feel these players have to pull it out, surely there's got to be there's no coincidence if no one in the attacking sense is getting 10 goals, 10 assists. We're not creating. You know, we've upgraded in terms of set pieces, but big chances created and whatnot are still not kind to us. Is that a byproduct of what we're doing in training, or potentially what we might not be doing in training?
Yeah, I do think that comes down to the manager. You know, imagine if you had to go and take on an underperforming team as manager. The first thing I would do, because I think it's the easier thing to do, is to sort them out defensively. I'd be talking about, yeah, I'd be talking about work rate. I'd be talking about 2 banks of 4, all of that sort of stuff. I'd be saying, right, first, let's not get beaten. And then you say, right, how do we go and win the game? Now, that's what I think Arteta's done with Arsenal. And he's just about got us to the stage where he's saying, right, now let's make you hard to beat and setting up a somewhat good defense. I think right now, we haven't got an awful defense or anything. We're okay defensively.
No, there's definitely many improvements defensively. We've got somewhat of a confidence. The mistakes are still there. We're still prone, but definitely improved the tenfold.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like there's a lot of work to do on the defense, but in all of that work, you take away from your creative attacking part of the game. That's where we are at with Arteta right now. But it's much easier to be a defensive manager than an offensive manager. I really feel like, you know, that's what makes a lot of managers at that next level, those elite managers that know how to do both. Because too often it's just one or the other, and most go to the defensive. Now, so I do think, yes, it is on Arteta. I just don't know whether Arteta has got that in his locker to nail down that defensive element and then build that attacking element without compromising the defensive one. I wonder whether he'll ever get us on that journey.
That's a fantastic way. That's comment on it. For me, that's comment on the stream. It's really got me thinking. And on one hand, I think he can, because I mean, you've worked with the City players and I see it. But on the other hand, do I think you have the experience enough? Because it can be done. I do think, myself included, we waffle a lot about he ain't got this player, he ain't got that player. I know it's not the same, and I'm not saying we should sack Arteta, but when you look at someone like Gasperini, just in terms of being experienced, having principles, as you said, it's harder to be an attacking player. This is someone that's studied, that's stolen little ideas and made his own little thing. You need to have somewhat an arrogance, and there's going to be moments where you might have 5 games, you're not playing well, and there's that pressure to revert defensively, but you don't do it. I don't know that, because on one hand, I do think if you had someone else, they might get more of a tune out of. Maybe Aubameyang is an extreme one because we just spoke about it, but you might see in Aubameyang, a Pepe, more productive numbers for maybe Smith Rowe and Saka, because we need to. It's not always about improving the rubbish players, respectfully, or the players that are shaky. It's about taking our players that are actually good. So I'm not too sure where I stand on that, man. It's an interesting one. Yeah. I want to speak. Go on.
I think that's maybe what we saw against United, that we're more comfortable doing the well-drilled defensive stuff, and that's why once we went 1-0 up, we just snapped back to that. That's where our comfort lies with Mikel Arteta. So yeah, there's still a lot of work to go on that, and yeah, I think that the problem is, you know, going forward as well, our players going forward aren't necessarily helping us, because if you have players on good form like Aubameyang and like Pepe, for example, and it makes that offensive job a bit easier, because what a lot of managers do, in my opinion, is they drill the defensive elements, but they say final third is down to you. You go there, you express yourself, play on instinct. Happen. And when that instinct part of the game isn't coming easy, it becomes problematic. And maybe that's what we're seeing at Arsenal. And the other thing is that people talk about, oh, look at Man City, you know, obviously due to Arteta's links. The thing is, when you're spending that much money on players, not only are you getting really, really good footballers, but you're getting intelligent players as well. Someone like a Bernardo Silva, very, very intelligent.
You don't have to tell him a lot of things.
Exactly, yeah. Now, what I'd point to as a very unintelligent passage of play in the game against United was for United's second goal. Nuno Tavares does really, really well to break forward and intercept the pass. But what he tries to do, he tries to play a first-time, mid-air, cushioned volley pass inside.
Like he's in training, yeah.
Yeah. Now, that is somewhat regulation. A professional footballer, you'd expect for him to be able to do that. But the point is that you have to be aware of that risk and reward in that moment. The reward is if it all goes well. If you cushion that pass perfectly to Smith Rowe and you continue your run, he might be able to find you the 1-2, sets you up on an attack. Now that attack, there's no guarantees. You're still, the odds are against you. The expected goals from that point are against you.
Rashford
They're going to be
behind
very, very low.
why this is going on.
The risk is that if you mishit that pass, not only if you continue your run, have you taken yourself out of the game, you're completely susceptible to a very, very dangerous turnover. And you'll also take out Smith Rowe out of the game because he's naturally going to go and try and retrieve that ball because it's a first-time pass. His body's already looking to go. That's what happened. That meant that Tavares was always playing catch-up. Smith Rowe had been taken out of the game, and they're now attacking us down the right-hand side with no left back there.
And no one watching where Ronaldo is, yeah.
Yeah. Now, had Tavares been a little bit more intelligent about that, and we can't blame him too much. As a young player, the value might reflect his ability and his level and everything.
Naive as well, yeah. Fact.
Yeah. Had he been a bit more switched on in terms of the risk and reward and the intelligence and that sort of thing, he at least might have not tried to continue his run. He might have thought, let me just consolidate that pass, and I'll still give Emil Smith Rowe an option. That option to play backwards or sideways rather than gamble on the 1-2. And then when that does happen, Gabriel, who I think has been really good for us this season, did not do enough to try and step to the ball and trust that someone else will pick up Ronaldo.
That immediate threat. Facts.
Exactly. Ronaldo then, he picked up a space in between 4 players and wasn't picked up. You know, and this is a complete lack of intelligence. You can drill everything you want, but in those moments where the ball gets turned over and you have to think for yourselves, Tavares, brain freeze. The 4 players around Ronaldo, the fact that none of them kind of said, "Oh, I need to get in front of him."
All 3 goals, no one was picked up off the ball, really.
Yeah, so exactly. You know, block the pass, Gabriel, go to the ball, shout as you're doing it, let someone know, cover me. So it was a complete mess. So yeah, I just kind of feel like it's that lack of intelligence, and that's why we can't necessarily compare to Man City because they've got a lot more intelligent players than us.
I mean, one positive, if anything, was from Man United away. Martinelli. I mean, everyone said, "Oh, he can't play on the right. He can't do this. He can't do that." As we look towards Everton and preview Everton, where was you at with Martinelli's performance against Man United, and where are you looking at in relation to Everton away?
Brilliant performance against Man United, and he's bolted that onto a fantastic finish against Newcastle as well. So it's the Martinelli that we have all been desperate to see. He was very, like, the run that he made in the middle of the park in the second half
was amazing.
Just amazing, absolutely brilliant. That's the Martinelli that we all know exists and we all want to see. So for me, he has to play against Everton. I don't know whether that's
left or right
or middle.
Even that, I would say for me it'd be different because I'd say, like, for me, my front 3, XHAKA fit, Lacazette, and then Martinelli's earned his place on the left wing. I know I would bring in Tierney as well. I know I know Thingy has always talked about that's not the best partnership.
Well, I mean, look, you say it's not the best partnership. How many minutes have they had together?
That's the thing. I mean, that's what Arteta said. He kind of alluded to it like a couple of months ago. So it's like what you said. I mean, if they haven't played together, they're not going to be there. And for me, it's all about energy. Martinelli gives you energy, and I think, you know, tomorrow is going to be about energy. If we allow that crowd to build confidence, the players are going to feel it. If we do kind of what Liverpool did, you know, I'm not sure if you watched the game, but early minutes in, Coleman and Pickford are shouting at each other. Anyone that's played football, that's a not confident defense. That's no one taking responsibility. And there were several gaps where you saw Godfrey, everyone, the gaps in midfield. We've got to take advantage. That's kind of, for me, where I've kind of tried to indirectly theme this around attacking, because I need us to be brave. Now, the problem is, as you saw against United, we were brave for 13 minutes. And then there's the other intricacies that comes with the football. And we was quite naive, very naive to think for over an hour we could just sit back. But I don't know if that's what we'll do. Where are you at with Everton anyways, as well?
Must win. Absolute must win game. You know, I looked at these 6 games that I talk about from Leicester away to Everton away. We're on 9 points out of 15. If we get to 12 out of 18, and in those 6 games, we've played Liverpool, Everton, United, and Leicester away. You know, that's not an easy run of fixtures, and 12 out of 18 is respectable. Yeah, I would say that.
Respectable, like you said.
Yeah, even 10 out of 18 is okay, you know, with those 4 away games, because we're not a team that's world beaters. Obviously, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, they wouldn't be aiming for that. They'd be aiming for more. But I'm trying to be fair to Arteta and not create a stick to beat him.
Almost unrealistic, yeah.
Yeah. If we lose tomorrow, it's absolutely unacceptable. 9 out of 18, not good enough. And, you know, for every point...
They won a game in 8, bro.
Yeah, and you know, if we don't win, that means they get 3. And these are the teams that will be hoping to be in and around us, even though Everton are awful right now. I don't even know where they are in the league, 16th. But
tells you everything.
you know, if we lose against them, they're 5 points behind us. If we go and beat them, then we are 11 points ahead of them, you know. So,
and the people around us won at the weekend as well.
Yeah, you need to have no mercy. We cannot let them take 3 points. If we get the draw, I'll be disappointed, but that's the absolute minimum that Arteta will be able to get away with in terms of escaping a lot of pressure. Really needs to be the win to answer the critics of that response from the United game.
For me, I can't lie. I'm normally like that, and I agree. I can't lie. Draw's unacceptable purely because if we're trying to better last season, we was terrible there. I vividly remember Yerry Mina and Michael Keane almost, you know, being Perlo out there. We need to win, you know. We need to put in a performance away from home, bro. End of the day, Brentford, we didn't do it. Etihad, we didn't do it. Anywhere we've gone away from home, with exception of Leicester and Burnley, we haven't done it. And for me, like you said, you have to be ruthless. They're begging for 3 points. The world isn't going to care that we've been on this great run and we've lost to United. We need to. Like, for me, I think this is a 6-pointer. You know, I looked at the next 6 games, including Sunderland, and respectfully to Everton and Southampton. If you can't beat them 2 teams going into away trips to Ellen Road, and you've obviously got West Ham, then we might as well pack up this European thing and forget about it, because the games ain't getting any easier. January the 1st is City. So we need to kind of bank these sort of games in the bag. Like, the one luxury was it weren't pretty, but we did beat Newcastle going into the United game. Completely different context, but yeah.
Yeah, and you know, those 6 games that I talk about, the reason why I selected those is because there were like 2 easy home games in there, 4 difficult away games. It's a tough period. And I think what we've seen now, based on the 5, is that, yeah, we're a good team. We're not a very good team. We're not going to be up there. We've got a sniff of top 4. We should get top 6. You know, we'll certainly be top 8. I think that, you know, it's shown us really where we are, and it's not too far away from what we already knew. We've just kind of confirmed that. But when I look at December, this needs to be a very good month for us. Everton away, Southampton at home, West Ham at home, Leeds away, Norwich away, and
with a new gaffer as well.
Home. So, and then that doesn't include the EFL Cup, just the Premier League. Now, so when I'm looking at those fixtures, these names, West Ham obviously on fire, but we're playing them at home. There's not a team there that I think to myself we should be fearing or that we can't go and get a result against. So it's all on us now. This needs to be the start of another unbeaten run. And if we go unbeaten in December, then that's 6 games already, you know, that the unbeaten run stretches to in the league. And the EFL against Sunderland, we should win that as well. So, you know, I think I want to see the players kind of saying that this needs to be our month to make amends in a way for a couple of poor performances now.
You're right, man. So obviously, where the lineup's concerned, because obviously, with exception of, you know, the Gabriels, the Ben Whites, the Ramsdales, etc., you know, I think I can answer for you with Aubameyang, but there is that debate: Laka or Aubameyang. Where's Martinelli, Tavares, or Tierney? Does Partey even start? Does El Nene start? What's the lineup for you? What's even the formation, really?
Tierney comes in.
I agree.
Yeah, we have our back 5 that we had a few games ago. That needs to be it for me. In the middle, I don't know. I don't quite know why El Neni came in, other than the only reason I could come up with El Neni and ODEGAARD. What was that, sorry?
I think it's the white flag being waved, really and truly. I just think it was a thing where respectfully we'll think about United's midfield, sorry, but I think we're just waving the white flag. We're not convinced in our midfield. So we're just, like you said, you know, you double down defensively, you know, off the ball, you just sit in front and keep your positions. So I think it was a white flag, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought with ODEGAARD and El Neni, it's about energy because they continue their work. So I thought maybe it's a high energy.
That's a good way of looking at it. Probably could be that
option that Arteta was trying to do in midfield against United there. But Maitland-Niles, since he got man of the match against Watford, hasn't played.
Yeah, he's not been involved. Yeah, come on against Liverpool in the second half when the game's done. But
yeah,
that's about it.
I think Partey has to play. He has to play. He is our best midfielder, so he's in there. Alongside who? I can't answer that question.
That's why I asked that. Do you go Lokonga? Do you bring in El Nene? Because you know, if you're as good as your last game, what happens?
Yeah, I don't know. But the front 4 for me: Lacazette, Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left, Emil Smith Rowe. They're the front 4 for me.
Agreed. I'd probably go Partey and Lokonga just because I don't feel Lokonga necessarily deserve to be dropped. I can't complain if it is El Nene and Partey. You know, Arteta didn't deny Granit Xhaka being involved in some capacity, but it's probably naive. The man's been out for months. You know, he's probably going to just be fit on the bench, really. What do you think is, you know, to wrap this up as well, what do you, I kind of got two questions. What do you feel of Granit Xhaka's return and what that means for the team? And obviously, we spoke earlier about free hits and whatnot. And I mean, we all saw West Ham beat Chelsea. Not necessarily about beating Chelsea, but if West Ham can quote unquote compete, do you feel that means the excuses that people give Arsenal are kind of irrelevant? Because looking at the two squads, is there much in it?
Well, I mean, West Ham, they continue to surprise me. I keep on thinking it's going to end, their run's going to end. But boy, I think they just need to get a little respect now. And David Moyes needs to get a lot of respect now. I have to admit, like you're saying, if West Ham can do it, why can't Arsenal? You know, if you really knuckle down and you really, really are working hard, because that's what I see from West Ham, a team that really, really care and really are knuckling down. It's not just about vibes and merch, you know. So I feel like Arsenal should be able to do it. Let's get there. Let's get into that position. Let's make December that month where we start to do that. But yeah, I'm not sure. There's something at West Ham right now where it's just working.
Is it a mentality thing?
I think it is that. I saw Kurt Zuma's reaction to Mason Mount's goal. He was livid. You know, he was just so annoyed by it. And I don't see some players, yes, you know, at Arsenal are like that. It seems to really affect them. But I kind of see a lot of Arsenal players just going through the motions a little bit. You know, I think the mentality needs to step up at Arsenal. For sure.
I mean, you're right in that because, I mean, like you said, we're a long way away from Manchester City. But I remember Bernardo Silva post-game, almost as impressive as him on the pitch. You know, I know our players, obviously, they're aware of where they are in the table. I hope so. Ben White doesn't watch football, as he said. But it's like the way Bernardo was talking, he was like, yeah, I think we're a point in front of this guy and 2 points behind. It really gave me the intention of the players are micromanaging themselves. Now, as you said, we're a long way away with them. But when you do see Kevin De Bruyne, when you do see Bernardo Silva, they're kind of managing situations themselves to the point where it's not going to surprise me if a lot of these players that Pep has managed, like Wenger and Ferguson, follow him into being a manager. And so I honestly think it's away from everything. I think it's mentality. You've got to believe in yourself. And it does, like kind of what you said at the start, but it's not really that. I just feel we kind of, before we've even kicked a ball, like especially in the big games, we kind of look for crutches to hide behind or excuses to hide behind or just overcompensate rather than let's go out there and really try. And that's, for me, we've played with a handbrake too much. I just feel against Chelsea, against City, yeah, we didn't have the squad. Whenever we've gone away from home, United and Liverpool, we've just never truly believed. Even when we've scored goals, there were segments against United. We just didn't believe we could get a result or forgive ourselves when we've conceded, like West Ham have done against Liverpool and Chelsea.
Yeah, and you know, I come back to the point about the age profile of the squad and the team. With West Ham, they clearly have a better age profile than us, and I feel like
smart individuals, that
belief, that mentality, all of that sort of stuff is a lot easier when you're more experienced in the game. You've seen it all before. You know, actually, we can just ride this bit out, and you know how to play. In football, you always talk about is the experience you leading the youth. So there's more of that dynamic going on at West Ham rather than at Arsenal, where when it gets tricky, when you're penned back, you find it harder as a younger team to fight and get out and know when the right time is to go and do that. So maybe it's easier for West Ham to have that mentality because Arsenal are potentially not at that optimum level in terms of age.
Facts, man. And I think that is the case because I think there's, whether they're players like Lokonga or people like Smith Rowe, I think we do kind of suffer from cultural shocks and when the game's just full of energy and it's like a boxing match. You're right. Last question then, score prediction. I'm going with 2-1 Arsenal. I mean, I don't think it's going to be perfect, but I think we'll do it.
Score prediction. I think we'll win. Do I think Everton will score? I think we'll probably keep a clean sheet because
I'm scared though, man. Because what you got, Dominic's not there, but you've got Richarlison, you've got Rondon, these sort of guys, first and second balls, and like we said, concentration. Is it written in the script? Townsend scores a sizzler again against being an ex-Spurs man against us. I don't know.
No, I'm going to go 2-0 to Arsenal. Or
I want that.
1 or 2-0. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal.
Calm. Any content to come today or in the next 24 hours? I know after there'll be post games from me and yourself on your channel and whatnot.
Yep. It'll be the post game stuff. I'll be in Goodison Park talking to you about the victory and uploading that to my channel after the game. Fingers crossed.
Come on, man. And like he said, he's gone with 2-0. I've gone with 2-1. People, we've loved being here. Mo, once again, appreciate you for being here this evening. I'm going to let you go because I'm knackered as well, broski. So, yeah, man, hopefully we have a decent result. Thanks for being here. People, you know, make sure you subscribe to Mo. When this is on YouTube, his link will be in the @ So, yeah, you just be able to click on it and see everything he's got. So, yeah, man, people, take care. Stay blessed. Enjoy what's left of your Sunday. We're out. Peace. Dave.
Because you always use that active when that defenders. I think it's like